On this week's GTA 5 o'clock, do not join the GTA 5 PC beta. The Housers speak at the BAFTA awards show, more cut content revealed, and the hunt for the jetpack continues. It's all here on this week's GTA 5 o'clock. Hello and welcome to this week's GTA 5 o'clock. I'm your host James Jarvis and I'm joined as ever by co-host Dan Dawkins.
Hello.
Hello Dan. Yes, as you heard at the top, lots to go through this week and we're going to kick it right off by saying do not join the GTA 5 beta on PC because unfortunately, for now at least, it's not real. So yes, there's been an email in circulation promising some people that they can be the first in the world to play GTA 5 on PC, but it's been exposed as a scam, and hopefully that malware message comes with a lovely virus for you as well. So you don't want to be accepting that. Don't click any of the links. Rockstar hasn't announced anything for PC. There's no beta as of yet.
Now to read more on that or any of our stories, click in the About description below.
Something that is new and exciting, however, is the Xbox Live sale in which Rockstar games have got massive discounts right now. So if you have missed any of the previous Rockstar games and want to jump back in and take a look at them, you can. Dan, any of these take your fancy? Bully is 75% off.
What was its initial price?
Well, it's 75% off that initial
That's a
price.
lot. Well, let's say it was £40. That would make it a minimum £10. Bully's fascinating and kind of one of the, I wouldn't say a classic, but it's something that Rockstar had a great internal fondness for, and they have often talked of bringing it back. Crudely, it's a bit like GTA meets the ancient Spectrum 48K classic School Days, and it's a really good fun game. How it holds up today is up to question. 75% off. Check it out.
If you liked the sort of infinite 8 killer mysteries in GTA 5, you might like a bit of LA Noire if you haven't played that yet. Also 75% off.
Wow, that's good.
There's some great facial tech in there as well that is worth checking out. Midnight Club, also 75% off. Max Payne 3, Red Dead Redemption, and the Max Payne 3 Rockstar Pass, which gets you
all
add-ons
75% off.
All 75% off.
That is fantastic.
Right now
on
Xbox 360. So if you haven't played any of them, you definitely should go and check them out. Something else that happened this week, or last week now, Dan, is that Rockstar made a rare appearance at the BAFTAs to pick up their Fellowship Award. It was presented by Hideo Kojima. They came up on stage and they even did a little speech, which I think you've got some excerpts from.
Yeah, now the BAFTAs, if you don't know what they are, they're kind of like in film, they're the British Oscars, but they are incredibly well attended in film. You get all the big stars, your Brad Pitts, your Angelina Jolies, all the top celebs. In games, they attempt to do a very similar thing, but it creates a peculiar mix of C-list TV celebrities and mega A-list developers. Now, Rockstar's Fellowship Award was handed out by none other than Metal Gear Solid Supremo, Hideo Kojima. Now, and that's interesting because Kojima has openly flattered and praised Rockstar in various tweets, almost saying that he doesn't think he could ever achieve the level almost that Rockstar are at. Now, I think that, as we've said on the show before, that's actually a nudge to his bosses to say, give me more resources and time, please.
Yeah.
But he's clearly a fan of the Housers' work, and I guess it made sense for him to meet them. From various people I know in the industry, it sounded like Kojima was working on his own schedule while he was in the UK, and I bet a part of that was time with the Housers to talk shop.
He seemed very interested in their open world and that kind of stuff.
And if you've seen Metal Gear Solid Ground Zeroes, you'll fully understand why. Now, I thought what was really interesting, it was a chance for us to finally see the faces behind, GTA 5. And like you remember even back last year when GTA 5 O'Clock had a world exclusive interview with Leslie Benzies, who's Rockstar North's president, that they still didn't want us to film him or even use his voice. No. So we had that very peculiar scenario where Tim Weaver and I took it in turns to be Leslie Benzies.
That was an interesting time.
A very interesting time. Now, it's fascinating to see him in the flesh. As we said on the show, he is a lovely, handsome man with beautiful teeth. Now, the Housers, you've got to say they're the sort of the pair behind a phenomenon. They built this company up from nothing. It's fascinating to see them in the flesh. Now, the guy who accepted the award was Dan Houser, who's kind of like the creative lead on GTA. He does a lot of the script writing. He's incredibly prolific. Sam is more of a producer, sat a bit more in the background, but has got a lot of the drive and the vision.
He did most of the post-award interview talking rather than the actual acceptance speech.
Yeah, and I think what's great about them is that they're such passionate advocates of what this medium can be and what AAA can be, and you know their success absolutely works. And there's something interesting about seeing Kojima and them side by side, almost united in championing AAA products. But Dan's speech was actually really good. He obviously thanked the audience, and then he said, "This is a tremendous honour for us as a mostly British-run company and passionate advocates of the medium, and also lovers of British film and consumers, and as consumers as children of almost lethal amounts of British television. This is wonderful." And he says, "We used to watch so much TV in the late 70s and 80s that my closest friend was the test card," which for non-British viewers, that was a weird, like a child's doll, talking to, what was he talking to?
There was a girl and they were playing noughts and crosses.
Playing noughts and crosses on a chalkboard, and that test book card would appear when there was nothing broadcasting.
There's nothing on.
Which in the olden days was quite often, like, you know, they would switch off the television at 12 o'clock.
Imagine that.
Wasn't like nowadays. And then he says, "Now we stand here as equals, finally, with the test card." And he says, "Rockstar was founded with a mission statement that video games were the next mass-market entertainment medium, and that they were uniquely interesting and powerful, and that we as a company would serve two masters to prove this fact, combining the production value of movies with the obsession of gameplay above all else." And he says, "Back in 1999, we began shouting this to whoever would listen. A few people laughed at us for our hubris, both in ourselves and at the medium. Most people simply ignored it." And he says, "Now, as far as I know, this is the first time BAFTA has given an award to 900 people." I think that's really critical, and it's part of the reason that Dan and Sam Houser and Leslie Benzie sit in the background, because I guess they don't want to be seen as we're the four men or the three men or whoever you say that make GTA 5. They know it's a bravura group production project. They don't really want to steal that limelight and let the game take the front.
Yeah.
It's weirdly a reverse approach to Kojima, who gets similar quality results in AAA space, but absolutely pushes himself.
It's all about him and his game and
front and centre.
Yeah.
And it's interesting they both make different philosophies work, and I suspect it's a little bit of media positioning, because behind the scenes I've no doubt that Dan and Sam Houser are as rigorous and autocratic when needs be as Kojima is, but they're just doing it in a standoffish, this is done behind the scenes way. I think to the same ends, where they're both manipulating huge teams to get great results, but I thought that was quite fascinating. And then I say backstage, apparently Sam Houser was saying, "It's everything to get recognition from our peers and our friends in the industry. It's an enormous privilege for us." And Dan Houser said, "We always try to bite off more than we can chew. If you don't do that, you're going to do what you did last time. For 13 years we've been making very big games, jamming it onto the hardware harder than was possible." So yeah, they reached for the sky, and I thought it was a really, do check it out. You can probably follow a video link below. It's a really nice speech. It's great to see them in the flesh, and it was good to see the industry acknowledge, and the warmth of the applause for them as well, I thought was great, that people were acknowledging what they've done for this industry, for all the hoopla around those games. I thought it was a really wonderful moment.
Talking about biting off more than they can chew, Dan, well, some things obviously do get cut in the production of GTA 5. Dan's laughing because that was so seamless. So some things do get cut out when you're producing these massive games, and when you have bitten off more than you can chew. We have got a few more bits and pieces that seem to have been cut out of GTA 5 in the main part, but left sort of in the code, and that people have picked up on, of just some little interesting things that we might get to see in the future, but for now they're just left in the background. I think you've got a list.
Yeah, there's a big list. Some of this will be more like relevant or thrilling than others, but it is an interesting insight into how Rockstar got to where they did. It talks about things like in Franklin and Lamar, and I guess that's
it's like the first mission when they steal a car and drive it off.
It says the owner, possibly Umberto of the cars, was supposed to come out as seen in the second trailer. So again, there's stuff that happens in the trailers that haven't made it to the final game. And another thing to note is, how do people know this stuff had been cut? Well, as we do know, and we've seen with examples of videos like the flood hacking video, people have now got into the code and they're digging deep into the source code of GTA 5. So this stuff is legitimate and is being found. Now it says Franklin was originally supposed to take Trevor's role in Queda Libre.
That's the mission where Michael shoots down that plane with the super-powered sniper rifle, and then Trevor is the one driving the motorcycle after the plane as it's crashing. Which, if you think about it, sort of makes sense, because we know Franklin loves motorbikes and he's the one who's always speeding around and chasing things. There's obviously a reason why that switch was made, probably to make it fit with the storyline better.
Yeah, now as we said, the very first Franklin Lamar driving mission, apparently that was due to take place at night, switched to the daytime. I guess that was a debate about how Rockstar wanted to frame your first playable moments in the world.
Yeah.
I think in something like Liberty City, night might have made sense because it's like a neon cityscape, but with an open expanse like Los Santos, perhaps they decided daytime was the way to go. So that's quite impressive. In the second trailer they released to the world, Trevor was seen driving the Crusader out of the back of a cargo plane. That was quite an iconic scene we debated, a lot in Minor Turbulence, but he was switched by driving a Messer out of the cargo plane in the final game. Small things,
Yeah.
worth noting. In Repossession Mission, Simeon Yetarian was Employee of the Month. And they say this was possibly done to conceal Franklin's surname prior to the game's release.
Yeah, because that was the scene that we saw a lot in the trailers and stuff. We knew Simeon Yetarian owned the car dealership. We could see Employee of the Month he'd given to himself. I think it's something that we discussed on the show, but obviously if you're trying to cover up who the other main characters are, you don't want their name plastered all over the trailers.
Now the Jewel Store heist was originally going to be called Pest Control, which again we debated much on the show in the early days. That was the first glimpse we had of anything heist related. Now this is really interesting. It says there would have been an extra heist involving the three protagonists robbing a rich guy's mansion dressed as clowns or mimes, stealing artwork and kidnapping his wife, possibly merged with a Madrazo subplot. And the name of the heist was called the Sharmuta Job.
I think we've discussed this before, the possibility of them being some kind of robbing mansion strand and having to dress up as and act as different people. It's obviously a thing that would have been nice. The masks in the game aren't used that much apart from just doing a couple of heists. This is obviously another way to get you acting out in more character-driven things like being mimes or clowns and stuff like that. Would have been quite a fun, nice thing to see. Not necessarily isn't going to happen. We could see that in future DLCs.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's also talk of another heist involving like a Heat-style bank robbery where like our three heroes are dressed in suits and balaclavas and had a massive shootout with the LSPD and the LS Downtown sort of core. But as is obvious, that was probably removed because it sounds an awful lot like Three Leaf Clover. But a screenshot can be dug out of the code with Michael in a white suit that you can't find in the code. And there's numerous artwork of the three guys dressed in suits and balaclavas. Now, there's a mission that included the appearance of Brucey Kibbutz was cut.
Yeah.
Brucey, you know, this is Bullshark Brucey.
We get to see him a lot in, well, not see him, we get to hear him in GTA Online talking about Bullshark testosterone, and that apparently he is a fully modelled character that you can access by looking in certain files, but we haven't actually seen him in the flesh yet.
And it was interesting that when the times we've been to see Rockstar and they'd hinted at characters who might return, it seemed like Brucey was one they would like not nodding at. They don't give much away, but there's definitely a sense that, oh come on, it's Brucey, isn't it? Now apparently the vigilante missions were removed, drug dealing was removed, pimping was removed. Pimping, I guess that could be seen as in slightly bad taste, not that the rest is in good taste, but that's gone. Now mini games were cut. Now this is amazing because there's some quite fun mini games here. What do you think about these, James? Basketball.
That'd be good. I imagine a sort of 3-on-3 basketball of just one hoop, maybe playing with all three protagonists.
Yeah, that'd be good. Air hockey.
Yeah. It's just these I think are just extensions on. I mean, we get darts, you get arm wrestling in GTA Online.
Air hockey, that would be rad.
Yeah,
that would be like their ping pong, the debut of the Rage engine back on. Well,
that's
sort of.
True.
I know, obviously, I'm not going to confuse ping pong with air hockey, but the idea of a physics-based sort of back and forth game would be great fun. There was pool. That's gone.
I guess for the air hockey and pool and that kind of stuff, you need sort of an arcade that would be good to go and visit, which there isn't really. There's the pier, which has got the big rides and things, but there's no arcade machines and that kind of stuff that you can go and actually physically play. So maybe it was just a whole building they just got rid of.
Now, apparently there was weightlifting that got cut, which sounds eerily like the olden days of going to the gym in San Andreas. Then there was a stealing and exporting game was cut. So, hey, maybe the stuff will come back. Maybe it's gone for good. They've done a lot of different work. Now, apparently the hunting side mission had a different HUD initially. And Michael had 2 cut random encounters, both with a lady called Magenta probably.
Yeah.
And Franklin had 2 more sets of random encounters, 2 for a guy called Dale, and 5 between 2 fighting neighbours.
Now the side missions are stuff that can be added in afterwards. I mean, with Rockstar have talked about adding in new assassin missions, which you'd probably get from Leicester and things like that, which I'd imagine Franklin would do. So if they've been developed to the point where they're getting cut, you'd think that it would only take a bit of extra work to put them back in and make them all seamlessly fit into the single player game.
Okay, and finally,
the big news, the big Jetpack news that everyone's been waiting for is that, unfortunately, no one's found it yet, obviously, because you would have heard about it on the internet and even on this channel right here, we would have told you all about it. But it seems that the hunt is sort of going a bit cold. A lot of the people on GTA forums, which is where I keep a keen eye on things for development and things of where people have been hacking into the code and putting the results on there. Lots of great work from the guys on GTA forums. But a lot of the people who were doing all of the jetpack hunting seem to have left the forum or have started taking a back seat because it's been 6 months now. They've gone through a lot of the game files, haven't really found much, and it just, I think, getting a bit tired of trying to find something, and then like we get, every now and then there'll be new members to the forum popping up going, hey, have you seen the mural at the top of Mount Chiliad? And everyone's like, oh, yeah. So, yeah, a lot of the key members who are going through the game files have sort of backed off a bit and gone, we've done what we can, don't think it's going to happen for a while, we'll just have to wait for updates and things. That being said, there are still a lot of mysteries around GTA and Los Santos and Plain County, which we cover in GTA Fact or Fiction on Fridays. There's a couple of definite things that are coming out this week that I'm very excited to tell you about, so make sure you tune back in on Friday for
very
that.
Nice. Well, I look forward to it. And the big shock I would say to that is somebody mailed me this week on my Twitter account and said, Dan, oh my god, have you seen this?
What?
And they sent me an image of the CVG YouTube homepage with our little logo and icon, and the message was something like, and I'm sorry if I've got this wrong, oh my god, we found the jetpack, nobody tell Dan. And then it had 12 million views.
Wow.
But I can't see it on the site.
No, I mean, that's definitely not something that we've uploaded, or I would have been very excited about it.
I know, so I'm guessing it's possibly a fake.
Oh, well, that's unfortunate.
It was good fun. So, and hey, if you have found it and secretly had 12 million views on our account, do let us know.
Yeah, please send us some more information.
Yeah.
Or if you've got any information about anything mystery related, you can send it to us at GTA O'Clock. Put a message on our Facebook page, facebook.com/GTA O'Clock.
Finally, next week, I've got some thoughts on the next-gen versions of GTA 5 I'd like to share that probably hasn't been talked about, but I think is interesting. And also worth saying, to everyone, last week we announced we'd have 4 guys running the Facebook page. We're hoping to get that started from next Monday. We will be in touch with the people we mentioned as winners last week. Apologies we haven't. Ditto the social club, where we've had some really good work done again already by Steve Stacey.
Yeah, some of the social club stuff's already happening, so if you are waiting for acceptance into some of the crews, keep an eye on that because it will be happening real soon.
Yeah, so that'll be happening soon. And that's it. So yeah, thanks for listening as always. Follow us on @GTA O'Clock. Check out our Facebook page, which is going to be all new and improved from next week with loads of new content. Just search for GTA 5 O'Clock in Facebook. And do subscribe for more great GTA 5 videos and other great videos on the channel.